Most people grow up believing that true love means being accepted exactly as they are. This idea feels comforting and beautiful, but real life often tells a different story. In everyday relationships, love usually comes with hidden expectations, quiet conditions that shape who we choose and how we interact. This truth might seem disappointing at first, but facing it openly can lead to healthier connections. Society teaches the idea of unconditional love everywhere, in songs, movies, and popular stories. These narratives promise comfort and freedom, suggesting we can be fully loved without needing to change or meet anyone's standards. However, when people carry these beliefs into real relationships, they often end up feeling confused or let down. Real life rarely matches the ideal, leaving many frustrated and emotionally exhausted. Most of us naturally place conditions on love, even without realizing it. Usually love depends on what someone else provides emotionally, like safety, validation, admiration, or a sense of belonging. These emotional needs aren't always obvious, but they strongly influence who people love and why. Although it might feel uncomfortable to admit, affection often depends on how well someone fits these hidden emotional expectations. Carl Jung, known as the father of analytical psychology, offered clear insights about this issue. Jung explained that everyone carries hidden aspects inside, feelings, fears, desires, or insecurities they don't fully understand or admit. He called these hidden parts the shadow. According to Jung, people often fall in love because they unconsciously project these shadows onto their partner. They hope the other person will satisfy their emotional needs, heal their wounds, or fulfill unmet desires. In simpler terms, people frequently love others for what they represent emotionally, rather than purely for who they truly are. Believing love must be unconditional can also stop personal growth. Healthy conditions in relationships encourage emotional maturity, compromise, and honesty. Problems usually arise when these expectations remain hidden or misunderstood. Ignoring or denying the conditions attached to love can make relationships feel confusing, strained, and ultimately unstable. Accepting that unconditional love is more an ideal than reality can actually help people build stronger relationships. It frees individuals from impossible standards and unrealistic expectations. Understanding that love usually involves conditions doesn't make love fake or less meaningful. Instead, it makes relationships more honest and realistic. When two people openly acknowledge their emotional needs and expectations, relationships become deeper, healthier, and more genuine. The real struggle isn't that love involves conditions, it's believing that it shouldn't. Many people repeatedly experience disappointment because they chase an idealized love that rarely matches reality. They begin thinking something is wrong with them or their partners when their relationships don't reflect romantic ideals. Yet the frustration doesn't come from love itself. It comes from misunderstanding how love naturally works. When individuals start accepting the truth about love, their relationships improve significantly. Honest conversations replace hidden expectations, and emotional connections become more sincere and fulfilling. Facing this reality clearly isn't about giving up on true love. It's about creating relationships based on openness, emotional honesty, and mutual understanding. When people say they love someone, it often sounds simple and clear. Yet beneath the surface of these words lies a complicated world of hidden desires and emotional needs. Understanding these hidden motivations can reveal why love often feels conditional, even when people genuinely believe they love someone for who they are. Everyone has emotional needs they hope to fulfill through relationships. Common desires include feeling secure, valued, special, or deeply understood. While these needs seem natural, they're often concealed beneath romantic gestures or affectionate words. Instead of openly expressing these desires, people might quietly expect their partners to meet them without even realizing it. For example, a person who struggles with insecurity might find themselves attracted to someone confident and strong. They unconsciously believe this confident partner will offer them protection and reassurance. Similarly, someone who rarely feels appreciated might consistently choose partners who openly admire them, hoping to feel valued. These desires aren't wrong or unhealthy on their own. They become challenging only when people aren't aware of them. Without awareness, relationships might experience tension, misunderstandings, or emotional distance. Carl Jung explained this clearly through his concept of projection. Jung believed that everyone carries unconscious desires, feelings or emotional needs they're not fully aware of. People then project these hidden needs onto others, expecting their partners to fulfill what they themselves lack. Through this lens, love becomes a way of completing oneself emotionally. Partners become mirrors of unfulfilled inner needs, offering what someone secretly desires most. When this happens, people don't necessarily love their partners purely for who they truly are. Instead, they love the emotional fulfillment that partners represent or provide. A partner who consistently meets someone's emotional needs, like validation, security, or comfort, often appears deeply lovable. But if that same partner stops meeting these needs, affection can quickly fade, revealing that love depended significantly on hidden emotional conditions. Understanding these hidden motivations doesn't diminish the value or reality of love. Instead, it provides clarity, helping people see relationships more realistically. When individuals acknowledge their hidden emotional desires, they can start communicating these needs openly and honestly. Open communication reduces frustration, improves intimacy, and strengthens emotional bonds. Recognizing hidden desires also helps people avoid blaming themselves or their partners unfairly when conflicts arise. Hidden emotional desires also explain why many relationships feel similar, even with different partners. If someone continually chooses partners who meet the same emotional need, for example, feeling important or safe, they might repeatedly experience similar challenges or disappointments. Recognizing this pattern allows people to address the emotional root directly, rather than repeating the same cycle with different partners. Awareness is the key to healthier love. Being aware of hidden emotional needs doesn't mean relationships must be completely selfless or unconditional. It means understanding the deeper reasons behind romantic choices and actions. People can still seek emotional fulfillment in relationships, but openly and consciously, rather than through unconscious projection. Ultimately, hidden emotional desires drive many choices in love, yet few people talk openly about this reality. People often feel hesitant or even embarrassed to admit that their affection has conditions. Yet openly recognizing these desires doesn't make love any less real or meaningful. Instead, it creates the opportunity for relationships built on honesty and emotional transparency. By exploring these deeper emotional needs, people can better understand their own relationship choices and those of their partners. When love's hidden desires become visible, relationships become clearer, stronger, and healthier. Affection stops being confusing and unpredictable, instead becoming a source of genuine emotional connection. People often assume they love others purely for who they are. Yet relationships often reveal something different. People frequently fall in love because they see parts of themselves reflected in their partner. This reflection might include qualities they admire, traits they secretly wish they had, or even qualities they reject in themselves but accept more easily in others. Understanding this emotional mirroring helps explain why love feels personal and powerful, even when it's based largely on projection. Carl Jung explained this phenomenon clearly. He described how people unconsciously project their own emotions, desires, and qualities onto others. In relationships, this means individuals see their partners through a lens colored by their own inner world. They might admire their partner's courage because it reminds them of bravery they wish they had. They might adore their partner's creativity because it reflects their own hidden dreams or interests. Or they might feel deeply connected because the partner expresses emotions they struggle to express themselves. In this sense, love acts as a kind of emotional mirror. People find themselves attracted to partners who reflect aspects of their personality or emotional needs. For instance, someone who values generosity may deeply appreciate that quality in a partner. Likewise, someone who desires to be more confident might feel drawn towards someone who expresses confidence easily. This emotional mirroring explains why some relationships feel so personal and compelling, even when partners have significant differences. However, emotional mirroring isn't always positive. People also project their insecurities or negative feelings onto their partners. For example, someone uncomfortable with their own anger might find themselves repeatedly attracted to people who openly express frustration or irritation. By unconsciously projecting this unwanted emotion onto a partner, the person avoids dealing directly with their own discomfort. Over time, this projection can create conflict or resentment in the relationship because the emotion remains unresolved. This emotional mirroring also reveals why relationships sometimes change suddenly or lose intensity over time. If a partner stops reflecting desirable qualities or emotional traits, the attraction may weaken. Love that initially felt strong and exciting might fade if the partner no longer mirrors the qualities or emotions that made them attractive in the first place. When partners change, or when someone becomes more self-aware, the mirrored reflection changes, causing confusion, disappointment, or emotional distance. Recognizing emotional mirroring doesn't make relationships less genuine, but it offers important clarity. Awareness helps people understand why they feel strongly drawn to certain individuals, even when relationships seem complicated or difficult. This clarity also encourages honest conversations and deeper emotional understanding. When individuals understand the emotional traits or qualities they seek in others, they can address these needs openly, rather than relying solely on unconscious projection. Becoming conscious of this emotional mirroring allows people to approach relationships with more maturity. Instead of expecting a partner to reflect idealized or hidden parts of themselves indefinitely, people can appreciate their partners as separate individuals. Relationships based on conscious understanding, rather than unconscious projection, tend to be stronger, more stable, and emotionally fulfilling. Some people spend their lives trying to please others, believing this will earn them love and acceptance. From childhood onward, many individuals learn that approval comes from meeting expectations set by parents, friends, partners, or society. While pleasing others might initially feel rewarding, over time it creates emotional strain, weakening the very relationships they desperately want to maintain. Trying too hard to meet someone else's expectations can cause people to lose sight of who they genuinely are. Instead of expressing their true feelings and desires, they continually adjust themselves to fit what others seem to want. At first, this behavior might seem harmless or even helpful. After all, making others happy often feels good, yet in the long run, continuously adapting to external expectations leads to exhaustion, confusion, and emotional frustration. Relationships built on constantly pleasing others rarely remain satisfying or healthy. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of staying true to one's authentic self. Jung warned that ignoring personal feelings and needs to please others leads to inner conflict. He believed individuals must honor their true emotions and personal identity to feel truly fulfilled. When people continually adjust their personalities or behaviors to please someone else, Jung argued they disconnect from their own emotional truths. Eventually, this leads to dissatisfaction and unhappiness, both personally and within relationships. For instance, someone who constantly hides their emotions to avoid conflict with a partner eventually feels lonely and misunderstood. Although they initially believe they're preserving harmony, they're actually creating emotional distance. The partner might believe everything is fine, unaware that the relationship is becoming increasingly shallow and unfulfilling. Over time, pleasing others at the cost of authenticity leads to relationships filled with resentment or emotional numbness. Pleasing others can also prevent honest communication. Individuals who habitually meet others' expectations often find it difficult to express their true feelings or set healthy boundaries. Afraid of rejection, they silently endure discomfort or sacrifice personal needs. Over time, the relationship loses authenticity, becoming an emotional performance rather than a sincere connection. Ironically, the harder someone works to please, the less genuine intimacy the relationship achieves. Yet breaking free from the trap of pleasing others doesn't mean becoming selfish or uncaring. It means finding balance, honoring one's own needs and emotions while respecting others. Healthy relationships require honesty, clear boundaries, and mutual understanding. Rather than continually adjusting to external expectations, individuals should communicate their genuine feelings openly. Authentic connections thrive on honest interactions rather than pleasing performances. Recognizing the emotional cost of constantly pleasing others can empower individuals to build healthier relationships. People gain strength when they openly express their emotions and set clear, respectful boundaries. Healthy relationships allow individuals to remain true to themselves while supporting each other's emotional needs. Authenticity, rather than endless attempts to please, creates genuine connection and lasting intimacy. In short, relationships that rely heavily on pleasing others rarely satisfy deeply. True emotional fulfillment emerges from honesty, self-awareness, and open communication. People don't truly love others simply for meeting expectations. Real affection grows from emotional authenticity and mutual respect. Constantly trying to please others eventually affects how people see themselves, shaping their sense of identity in deep and lasting ways. When love feels conditional, individuals naturally adapt, hoping to preserve relationships that matter to them. Over time, these adaptations become more than just habits. They redefine who a person believes they truly are. Early in life, children begin learning about themselves through the eyes of those around them. If a child often hears praise for being quiet and obedient, they start believing these traits define their personality. Slowly, without realizing it, this belief shapes their future decisions, relationships, and emotional responses. Conditional love quietly forms their identity, influencing who they become as adults. Adolescents and young adults often adopt behaviors and styles based on the expectations of friends or romantic partners. Imagine someone praised constantly by peers for their sense of humor. Initially, it feels great to receive attention for making others laugh. Gradually, however, the pressure to always be funny grows stronger until their natural, more serious side is suppressed. Their identity shifts subtly, influenced deeply by the desire to maintain approval and affection. In adult relationships, similar patterns continue. A woman repeatedly complimented by her partner for being organized and dependable may increasingly identify with those characteristics. She begins to believe that being dependable defines her worth in the relationship. If she ever falls short, even slightly, her self-esteem suffers dramatically. Love that feels conditional reinforces specific aspects of identity while weakening others, creating emotional imbalance and insecurity. Work environments also contribute significantly to identity shaping. An employee who gains recognition primarily for productivity and ambition might gradually adopt these qualities as core aspects of their personality. Initially proud of their professional image, they soon find themselves sacrificing personal relationships or self-care to meet the expectations that have come to define them. Love and acceptance become deeply tied to how successfully they fulfill this role, limiting their ability to fully express other important parts of themselves. Even friendships can shape identity in subtle but powerful ways. Friends who consistently admire someone's ability to stay calm during conflicts reinforce this trait strongly. Eventually, the individual becomes hesitant to openly express anger or disagreement, fearing they'll lose affection and respect. Their identity slowly molds into a carefully maintained image of calmness, suppressing authentic emotional reactions to avoid rejection or judgment. Over time, these conditional relationships accumulate, often leaving individuals uncertain about who they genuinely are. They find themselves questioning whether their preferences, dreams, and behaviors truly belong to them or have been quietly borrowed from others. This uncertainty creates emotional confusion, sometimes leading to anxiety or depression. It becomes challenging to separate their genuine identity from the identities formed by others' expectations. Understanding how conditional love shapes identity provides clarity about personal struggles many people face. Someone who has constantly adapted to please others might wake up one day feeling strangely disconnected, unable to pinpoint exactly why. They recognize the symptoms: uncertainty, emotional fatigue, or an unexplained dissatisfaction, but rarely trace these back to the subtle influences of conditional love they've experienced throughout life. Authenticity becomes increasingly difficult for individuals whose identities have been shaped predominantly by external validation. The effort required to maintain an identity pleasing to others exhausts them emotionally and psychologically. They wonder why genuine happiness or satisfaction continually slips away, unaware of how deeply conditional love has transformed their inner world. Ultimately, the identities formed under conditional love become fragile and vulnerable. They depend heavily on the continuous approval and reassurance of others. Individuals become stuck in cycles of needing constant affirmation, losing touch with the real emotions and genuine desires that define their true selves. Recognizing how conditional love shapes identity can make it challenging for individuals to embrace their true selves. Many fear that becoming authentic, showing who they truly are, might cause them to lose important relationships. Yet authenticity doesn't mean sacrificing connection. It's actually the path to deeper and healthier bonds. Genuine connections thrive when people openly show their true feelings, beliefs, and desires. Imagine a friendship built on honesty rather than hiding emotions to avoid conflict. Each person feels comfortable expressing themselves openly because acceptance isn't tied to meeting specific conditions. Instead, friends learn to appreciate differences, creating a relationship built on mutual trust and openness. Being authentic doesn't always mean sharing every thought openly. It means expressing oneself genuinely in ways appropriate to each relationship. Learning to balance honesty with kindness and sensitivity helps avoid unnecessary conflict. A friend who dislikes conflict doesn't need to hide feelings completely. Instead, they can share concerns respectfully, maintaining authenticity without hurting others. Authenticity isn't blunt honesty. It's emotional openness tempered with empathy and care. The fear of rejection often prevents individuals from embracing authenticity. Many believe they'll lose love or approval if they reveal their true selves. Yet in practice, authenticity attracts the right relationships, those built on real understanding rather than conditional acceptance. The connections lost when someone becomes genuine were often relationships dependent on false images anyway. They rarely offered true emotional satisfaction. Embracing authenticity requires courage, but the benefits are profound. Authentic people attract relationships aligned closely with their true values and emotional needs. These bonds offer deeper, lasting satisfaction because they're based on honesty rather than hidden expectations. When people feel truly seen and accepted for who they genuinely are, their emotional well-being improves significantly, bringing peace and fulfillment. Choosing authenticity transforms relationships profoundly. making them more sincere, supportive, and emotionally rich. Instead of losing connection, individuals who embrace authenticity discover relationships grounded firmly in truth and mutual respect. Authenticity leads people toward healthier and more fulfilling relationships. But redefining what love means is equally important. Many individuals spend their entire lives chasing an idealized version of love, believing it should come without conditions or expectations. Yet when people embrace the truth that genuine love grows strongest through honesty, clear communication, and mutual acceptance, they free themselves from unrealistic hopes and disappointments. Real love thrives in emotional clarity. People who openly recognize the hidden expectations within their relationships can develop stronger bonds. Instead of waiting for an impossible kind of love, they begin to appreciate the emotional depth that comes with openly addressing their needs and desires. Relationships built on this clarity become more satisfying because they reflect reality rather than fantasy. Redefining love also means accepting imperfections in relationships. Love doesn't require partners, friends, or family members to be perfect. It means loving people in spite of imperfections. Individuals who accept this reality learn compassion and patience. Instead of feeling disappointed when others fail to meet every expectation, they learn to communicate openly, strengthen emotional bonds, and deepen mutual understanding. When someone redefines love, personal growth naturally follows. By accepting that affection often comes with conditions, they begin exploring their emotional landscape honestly. They start asking important questions. What emotional needs am I hoping others fulfill? Am I projecting my own insecurities onto someone else? Asking these questions helps individuals gain emotional clarity, ultimately improving their relationships. Healthy love isn't about fulfilling every expectation. It's about emotional openness, understanding, and authenticity. Relationships flourish when individuals genuinely express themselves and accept others for who they truly are, complete with strengths and weaknesses. Love becomes more meaningful when individuals recognize their own emotional needs and openly communicate them, rather than silently expecting others to read their minds. Changing the definition of love also reduces emotional stress. People who constantly strive for unconditional approval or validation often feel emotionally drained and exhausted. They find relief once they realize genuine affection doesn't require perfection or constant pleasing. Love becomes easier and more fulfilling when individuals can openly acknowledge imperfections without fear of losing connection. Ultimately, redefining love allows individuals to build stronger, healthier relationships founded on emotional honesty and genuine acceptance. Letting go of unrealistic ideals makes room for real affection, love that offers support, understanding, and emotional security. It shifts relationships away from silent expectations and toward honest communication and true emotional intimacy. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing to the channel. By subscribing, you'll support our journey together toward deeper emotional understanding and healthier relationships. Also, if you found value in this discussion, consider giving a super thanks to help continue creating thoughtful content like this. Thank you so much for watching and reflecting with us. Your presence